Well, welcome back, everyone. So, full disclosure, I don't really know what I'm doing here. So, I got a little bit greedy with my last recording and I tried to bump it up to 60 frames per second, and my computer could not handle that. So, I have made a few changes to the park. So, let's just go over what I did in that last video real quick. We're all learning together, aren't we? So, I figured out more or less how to make one of these rides a little bit less janky. It's still not great, but it does now have some type of smoothness to it. I'm going to go into the scenery mode so you can kind of see the idea of it. So now, I'm still not a huge fan of the wet noodle design, but there is some benefit to it in that you can make the initial thing of it, the initial layout, much quicker. What it fails in is it's not very smooth. You get these like tight pinches all over the place, so you have to expand the curve out a little bit and adjust the banking, and even then it's still not great. But I got it done, and I went in and I added a little bit of scenery, basically just the little nature here and there, added a little house. I'm going to keep it pretty simple right now, just so that we can move on from here. Maybe we'll come back to it, maybe make it a little bit better, but let's get into the rest of this game. Taking a little bit to load here. So if we go into the rest of this game, there is a few mechanics that I like and a few mechanics that I don't like. One mechanic that I do like is that you don't really have to hire staff. One mechanic that I don't like, is that you have this guess metric that is really particular, and it's hard to get it to be at a nice quality 100%, and that's basically kind of like your park rating like it is in a lot of other games, and it's really hard to get that to where you want it to be. But you also don't have to deal with staff, so it makes it so that there's just that one less thing to deal with. There is also a benefit that it has this little bonus section down here, this little summary that helps you find out pretty easily what people are wanting. So let's go ahead. They were asking for some slushies, so let's go ahead and give them a slushie. How about that? Cash me outside. How about that? Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is an old meme, but an oldie but a goodie. Who doesn't like a good cash me outside? How about that? Now, one thing that these guests do not like is being next to staff areas. So let's kind of separate that out a little bit and make it look like that. Nice and pretty. Nice, and there we go. Okay, so let's see what other needs people have. I hate to wait. So when I start one of these parks, what I like to do is I like to think of what I would want to have if I was inside of an actual park. And you know what I would like to have? I would like to have a lot of scenery to walk through, because I think that that kind of stuff is just so fun. And I don't think that we have any of the do we have any of the non-ride halls unlocked yet? I don't really remember. Yep, there we are, deco halls. So these are kind of a cool little feature that this game has, where you can make a hallway that is purely for decoration only. And it makes it so that this way, you know, you're not just kind of stuck with the same. Where was that? You guys are probably over there. Oh, there it is. You guys are all probably over there screaming at the screen. It's like, wow. He just had it right there. Well, you know, get off my back. Proverbial people that are not actually there. I mean, anyway, we're at the beginning of this whole experiment, and I doubt anyone's even watching this video, really. But for those of you that have even made it this far, well, welcome. Welcome to fantastic content and fantastic little little videos that I'm doing here. I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, and I mean, it's just always fallen by the wayside, but I decided, why not? You know, let's just do it. Let's get it going. If no one sees it, that's fine. I'm having fun. So that's the important thing, right? Let's have some fun. Let's change the theme of the wall here. What would be something that, if I were to go in to walk through a decoration hall, what would I like to see? Something that just kind of leads me into maybe... Let's have it lead you into a carousel. So in that case, actually, I want to get rid of all of these because that's not really the cityscape type idea. This is kind of interesting. They have like, can I change the, I can change the hall colors and the hall theme. Let's see. So that's more of a city type one. I want to kind of get rid of this big sandstone block because it doesn't really seem to match city, but looks like you can't. So let's change up the colors at least. I can make it so that it's nice green grass. Oh, no. You know what I can do? I think I can change up the... Yeah, I can change up the color of the sandstone so it becomes almost like a big black rock. Let's see. Ooh, I do not like that green. This is a kind of annoying element of this, is that it doesn't show you what it looks like with everything else around it. So you kind of, I don't know, you kind of, there's that perception of color where if something that's really dark is surrounded by a lot of other really dark elements, it changes its color. Same thing if it's surrounded by a lot of light elements, changes it up, and it makes it look different depending on what kind of colors are around it. But I think I'm okay with that. Okay. So I talked a little bit about this in the last video, but the real key to any of these games is to just start off with a little bit of nature, because that is definitely the easiest. I have another idea. That's the easiest way to start off with it. Yes, I can put grass on it. Perfect, 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 perfect. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Does anyone watch that show? I recently started getting into it, and it is a wild ride. No spoilers, but I do wonder kind of what happens along with it. I've heard maybe a little bit of mixed reception about the last bit of it, but I've tried to avoid getting too spoiled by it. Also, I've tried to avoid getting really any information that helps or that disrupts my opinion about the media that I watch. I realize something is that I have been depriving myself of things that I would really enjoy. Things that maybe other people wouldn't, just because I go into stuff with such preconceived notions. And I think it happens with all of us right now, is that we're so constantly surrounded by, and I know, I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, it's like, wow, great, a theological discussion while I'm watching some guy play a game about roller coasters. But this is important stuff, people, and I am an important person, so listen up. Anyway, the gist of it being, we get so much information from social media and from review sites and what have you that we kind of deprive ourselves of the good things, the things that make, you know, us unique, things that are like, yeah, you know, I really like, this is my guilty pleasure movie, and you never get a chance. Whoa, look at the size of that rock. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit more reasonable. Ooh, I like the way that looks. I like it a lot. In case you haven't noticed, I'm basically just one large walking reference mobile. But you don't get a chance to experience things that you may have liked that other people didn't. And I think that that's a shame. So what I started doing was I watched an Eddie Burback video about this, and he talked about how when he was watching Severance, he was going on a no phone thing, and he was able to really just kind of form his own opinions on how that show was without having any preconceived notions. Nothing that anyone else had said to him or that he could really like look up. And I was like, wow, you know what? That actually sounds really nice. So I decided to do a somewhat no phone thing. You know, it's impossible to go completely without your phone in today's day and age, and that's just a cold, hard reality that we all have to live with, but I don't like the way that looks. I guarantee it. So I'm going to get rid of it, much like they did with the actual owner of Men's Warehouse. Does anyone remember that story? That was wild. But I want to try and have a little bit more of my own opinions. I can't find a good rock to go there. So I am maybe going to put something that's not a rock. Maybe let's actually add in an element. So yeah, there we go. Nothing like trash. That really will seal the city vibe, right? If there's just some person's trash there. Yeah, that looks about right, honestly. Maybe we're making a little bit of a dystopian city. I don't know. Let's go ahead and add in a fire hydrant right there. And a couple of park benches. Yeah, this is looking pretty nice. Oh my gosh, I would love to just be able to sit there, stare at some water. Oh, longing for outdoor times, don't we all? Every single day. Let's see here. There's not really much in the city one that I like. I need to fill in this space a little bit with something. But I do also still want to have kind of that open air, nice, chill vibe. Maybe I already put logs over there. Maybe just a stick. A big stick. Yeah. A big stick and not that big of rocks. Holy cow. The rocks in this thing are just astounding. But I guess that's because you can switch them off. You know what? Let's do this. Let's put some... I don't know if any of you are, outdoorsy type people. I'm not really, honestly, but enough. Pretty much all rivers have a little bit of rock. Here's a pro tip on one of these games, and I'm not following it right now, but if you don't want to have to keep on switching between things, but you want a little bit of variety, just make it so that you're going along, so you have the same one in there, and you just spread it out, and then go to the next one. Spread it out. That will make your life a lot easier. I promise. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to finish this up here, and then I'll come back with you guys after I've gotten the last little tidbits in there, the last little greeblies, as people say. And we're back. Okay, so I got rid of the trash, put in a rock there, put in a couple of fences. Didn't figure you guys needed to see that. There gets to a point in any one of these kind of world building type games or tycoon games, world building, where you gotta go through and you've got to start doing the repetitive tasks and putting the fence up. Otherwise, stuff just doesn't really look that nice, doesn't really look that realistic. But I think I am pretty happy with the way this park turned out, so I'm going to exit. And we're going to figure out what this park is going to lead to. And I think I want it to lead to a carousel. Now, let me see here. Can you put... Why is nothing in this game intuitive? Where is the carousel ride? Ride halls, coaster halls, paths. Oh, that's how you do that. See, I was trying to figure out how to do this a while ago. Okay, well, that's nice to know. You see, you learn more every day. Where is the stinking... I know it's here. I've seen it before. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'll be right back with you guys. Found it. It's in shops and stalls because, that makes sense. Whatever. Okay, so we are going to... Yes, it looks like you can... No, you can't. Okay, so I do need to add in... What I can do, though, is I can just make it just like the actual thing. Just standard basic. I wish I could do that, but, you know, whatever. Oh, what color was the floor? Is that the color of the floor? Nope. This one? Yeah, no. Is that a color that's actually available? Well, that would really be annoying if... I think that... no, that's going to annoy me. Is this it? No. Oh, well, okay. I think the color of the floors in there cannot actually match the colors of the floors in the hallways. Let's do a quick check and see. Yeah, it looks like there's more colors here. Well, let's see. Maybe one of the other colors, like maybe this one. I think that's possibly one that was available. Why would they do that? Why would they make it so that you cannot have the same range of colors? Okay, well, at least we got back on. Okay, there we go. So now we've got our nice little cityscape. You go through here, then you get to go right onto the carousel, which I think is kind of fun. It's kind of like almost going into like a little city park. That would be actually kind of cool to build this entire area like a little city playground, maybe. Maybe I should do that. Okay. I like that. Let's see. Let's go and see how we're doing in the old happiness department. People still can't get water. Decrease handling time, maybe? I don't know. I never really am 100% certain how much this upgrade stuff actually matters. Let's maybe... Okay. So if we're building a little city, what would I wanted there? So we're going to take a peek at what options we have and see what I would maybe want in a little city. That actually sounds like a pretty cool idea. A mini park. I wish that you could theme the halls a little bit better, but I don't think that you really can. Well, you know what, actually? Yeah, it's just carpet, basically. Yeah, you can't really do a whole lot with it. But I can do something to kind of make it look like a city park pathway, maybe? Maybe? Yeah! Yeah, I like that. Let me see. So this is just kind of like an entrance to it. And then once you get in, you would have your little city path parkway. Okay, well, unfortunately, they do not have the... Nope, they do have that option. Perfect. Okay. Once you get into your little city path parkway, you would have your little outside area. And you can't... Yeah, the walls don't have the themed walls that you can have there, but we can just make it kind of like a light blue, just like it is now. Maybe something a little bit more sky-like. Is that more sky-like? No, not really. Yeah, both of these just kind of look like water. No, actually. Yeah, that looks like sky blue. Okay, so you're going to get into your little city park. You're going to have like a little... That's a cool idea. I like this. I like this a lot. Okay, so much like a city park, we're going to build a nice open courtyard for people to munch at. We're going to put in some popcorn, some fries, and some slushy. And I think there are still some path decorations. It's not really like a lot, right? But you can put in a couple little path decorations in here. So something like a little fountain. It is in the center, but it doesn't really look like it. Yeah, whatever. That kind of looks parkish to me. Awesome. Okay, I'm really jiving with this now. So If I was going to build a city park, what are some of the other rides? So there's another pro tip. Think about what you would just want and then go in and try and match what you could have to what you would want. That's really a good key to these games, because if you just go in limiting yourself immediately, then that's not really the way to be creative. When they say like limitation creates creativity, you should start with your mind expanded. Start with everything that you can think of and then go in and see what limitations you have, and that is where the creativity, in my opinion, comes in. So if I was going to go to a city park, I would expect for there to be things like a carousel, maybe a Ferris wheel, and there would definitely be food. There'd be fountains, there'd be like bridges, there'd be wildlife. What's maybe one other ride that I would expect to be in like a city park? A Ferris wheel, maybe like one of those spinny style rides. Yeah, I think that's actually a default one. Let's see. So we'll build. Is it? Yeah, it's big enough. Perfect. So we'll build a ride hall here. We'll enter the hall. And I think that there is there is something that you would kind of expect to be in a park, like one of those like spin around. Awesome. Okay, cool. That is what we're going to do, but I'm going to cut it off right there. When we come back, I will go through and I'll check out all the little things that we can do to make ourselves a little city park. But until next time, I'll catch you guys later. If you feel like doing it, make sure you like and subscribe. Ciao.